Hello, Happy New Year. So excited to say goodbye to wonderful, amazing, brilliant 2021. Bye. Bye. Bucky, bye. Okay, bye. I'm really excited about this new year. I'm feeling really enthusiastic about it. I want to say first that no matter where I look into my camera today, it feels wrong. I feel like I have to turn a complete around. I still can't catch. So I'm just I feel like it looks like I'm looking off today, and I'm just going to have to accept that and just put it out there. It's a soggy, rainy day, but I'm cozy on the couch, snuggled up, looking out the window, and I'm just feeling so good. This is the first day that I have been feeling myself. I have been like the ailing Victorian girl who fell ill with scarlet fever for the entire holiday season. Towards the beginning of December, a bunch of different huge life changes and work things were culminating, and they had been culminating, and I was feeling my adrenals teetering, even though I was happy and excited and enthusiastic. I was I am feeling generally inflamed. I need to really slow down. And then I ended up getting COVID. Right before the week of Christmas, I got the Omicron or Omni, don't care anymore because I feel better, and I don't know. I didn't used to have to keep up with viruses so nuanced. It's I've suddenly and urgently had to take on having this medical savvy. I'm this back alley organic chemist because of 2020, and we all are. It's we all have medical degrees now, and we all know how viral outbreaks work, and we're really well versed in that. But in all seriousness, I do think that we've all really become real professional medical people. Yeah, so I've been down, and I was like Beth from Little Women, where she kind of ruined the holiday. She just cast a shadow on everything. They gave her the big piano, but no, I'm kidding. But I was Beth. I was I'd fallen ill, and it felt like I was never going to regain my strength and vitality ever again. And this virus had just weakened me, and my light was dim now. But I'm finally starting to feel better. So I wanted to start the new year in alignment with my intention, which was to, I have to put this out there. I would like to make daily videos. I know that we have had an inconsistent relationship in the past, but the factors that contributed to that inconsistency have now been removed, and they are no longer factors. So I'm getting to test out a new routine and a new kind of life schedule, as it were. So now I've got a new chance to start fresh and see if I can get my shit together enough to be consistent with videos. And I think part of that is being willing for it to be rough and not getting too precious about the edit or the production. Today I didn't put up any lights, and for me, a former gaffer and key grip, that's a horror. I for everything to be very the vision aesthetically that I would that I want, because I don't know. It's the way I live and perceive things, and I don't know. I just hate it when it just doesn't look like the mood that it really is. So I've got to chill about that. I have to be consistent with my personal habits of waking up early, sticking to my routine, staying focused. And it's in that routine, oddly enough, that I find I have the most freedom in my life and as an artist, because then I am planning the things that are most valuable to me and make me feel the most creative and alive every day. And just by sticking to it, having that self-discipline, it's like I'm creating self-worth, self-confidence, and I'm building those habits that lead to like small consistencies add up over time, more so than like big like overhaul efforts ever do. Just like the way that life is shaped by these little day-to-day moments, and really those big things that we think are going to be so life-changing really aren't. They're just really enjoyable and exciting and extra for, you know, a day or a week, but it's not really those things that are like the big life changers. So usually the things that we like torture ourselves when we're making decisions, like, is this could change my life? Like, it's not. It's probably not. It's just gonna like fall into like a bucket of full of experiences and opportunities. So I got on a tangent, but that's another reason why I want to do more videos, is because I think that as a person who's channeling, it's hard to do that when I'm writing, especially on Instagram, because of the amount of space that I have to use. But I think that there's a lot of things that are food for thought that we should chew on a little more and allow ourselves to go on tangents, because that's usually when the epiphanies come through. So I think that that's one thing I really like about video. And from what I've found is that on YouTube, people like long things as much as they like short things. So it depends on what kind of mood you're in and what you're looking for. But if you're listening to something in the car, then you know, you might want to fill up 30 minutes, or, you know, while you're getting ready, doing your makeup, whatever, going to the bathroom, making your coffee, you know, just whatever you want to hang out. But yeah, so I want to do more videos. I always feel really compelled to do that, and almost even heavier than I do to actually feel the urgency to like finish a book or anything specific like that. I just have had this like nagging thing always. It's like, do the YouTube channel. Like, you need to be on YouTube. And I didn't realize that as poignantly as this week, when I had been sick with COVID, and I had been quarantined through the holidays and by myself, which I usually like being by myself. And I really needed like some downtime, because I was a loon. Like, I was a lunatic. I was frazzled. I was coming unraveled. Like, even within COVID, like, my back went out and I got a migraine. Like, it just kept going. Like, it was like, I was so Job. But I was also just like so grateful to be held down and strapped to my bed by the universe. Like, rest, you need to rest. Your adrenals are like dry as fuck. So I got to rest, and I used that time to really reflect on the year and to like tap in and recalibrate and envision the next phase of this life that I want to call in. And part of it has always been like the YouTube channel. Like, since I was a little girl, I used to sit in the mirror and have this TV show with myself, and it was kind of like a talk show, and I would just like talk about stuff, and sometimes I'd be characters, and sometimes I would do skits. It was like a variety show, and it was like I was my audience, but I was also like what I was watching on the screen, and I was like kind of like live, like making it up as I went, and it was so fun. And now, as someone who studies mysticism and magic and energetics and manifestation, I'm like, oh, I've always been doing this. But I've also always been making these shows and playing out these characters and this thing. And so, circling back, I was like left to my own devices, being bored and alone during the holidays, when I knew I should be just having a holiday. And there was no pressure to do anything productive or learn anything or create anything that was on my list or my schedule. You know, I was so burnt out in the fog of, I had COVID brain fog, which is apparently a thing. And I was dumb as fuck, like, for days. Like, I just couldn't focus on anything. Even the things that I was just, like, interested in watching, I would have to keep rewinding it, because I would be like, I have no idea what's happened. Like, I need to keep watching something like 12 times. So this is the first day I haven't been so foggy. And even just to get started talking now, I think I had to sit here for like 15 minutes and keep starting again. But all of that to say is that left to my own devices, with no ability to do anything what I would consider productive, I was just playing. And over Christmas and over New Year, the game that I found myself playing was, I'm the head of this network and I'm pumping out a holiday special. It's like a live telethon event, and I'm like, I'm like president of production, but also like the director and the casting. I'm like live casting on the scene. I'm like pulling people off the street. Like, you gotta act like I was just making it a game. And at first I was laughing because it reminded me of Scrooged with Bill Murray. He's Frank Cross, and his whole like experience with the Christmas Carol was he's making a holiday special about the Christmas Carol, and he is knocked unconscious and is visited by the ghosts of Christmas future, present, and past. Well, that's totally what like my holiday season was like. And I found myself playing this game where I was like putting on this holiday special. So I was finding all these like thematic little bits of media, and photographs that I had taken that were Christmas themed. And I just tried to put all these like kind of classic Christmas elements that you always want, but then with my own spin, or, with my own taste in pop culture. And then I kind of layered all those elements together and then dressed them up with animations that I layered with just individual pieces and the GIF stuff and like fonts and pieces of dialogue or like jokes I wrote. Like I did shtick. Like it was fun. So I just tried to make it like what I thought would be like the best variety show to stay home and watch on TV. And that's what I made. I had like, an all-star roster. I picked out, the best parts of the best songs that we wanted to see, and like celebrities. And it was sort of, like each event was themed. Like the first one I went with, It's a Wonderful Life, the movie, was like a calming, reoccurring theme that I would go with. And then also like some 90s references and gangster rap and Motown music and blues, and it was all very kind of vaudevillian and burlesque, like good old-fashioned variety show feel to it. I ended the night with like Madeline Kahn, and I tried to like pull people in from like things that we remember from Christmas, but not necessarily in the context that we remember them in. So like Audrey from Christmas Vacation was in a scene with Madeline Kahn, but she wasn't Audrey from Christmas Vacation, because we've seen like Christmas Vacation is like a yearly classic, but I didn't want to like reheat that leftover again. So no offense. I had already made my Christmas Vacation reference for Thanksgiving. So, so I had so much fun putting on these specials. And then I realized, I was like, it's so funny. The whole fall, I was actually working on this gig. It was like reoccurring, where we were making a live Christmas special for television for New Year's Eve. And it was like a big whole official thing for like a real channel. And I wasn't nearly that entertained or amused or impressed or I didn't care. There were actual celebrities performing, and I'm just like, whatever, it's just another day, another dollar. But like I had so much fun doing my dumb Instagram stories and making it this whole like theme special. So left to your own devices, what do you get up to? Where does your soul lead you to go? And I think that is an important thing that we kind of preface this with, because during 2022, we have this huge opportunity to build a new life for ourselves. Like the life that we always wanted deep within our heart, the life that the inner child that we have dreamed about before it had so many fears embedded, or programming, or shame, or guilt, or feeling the shoulds and the coulds and the would'ves, So I feel this optimism about this new cycle beginning where all of the stars are aligning to really support you to build a life that is truly authentic to you, that will be the most spectacular version of you in your life and your happiness and your fulfillment. But you have to make the changes to get there. You have to make the sacrifice. In magic, in spirituality, period, in energy cannot be created or destroyed. If you want to take one thing and have another, it has to be transmuted. It has to be changed. And so in order for a miracle to happen, in order for a manifestation to happen, in order for magic to happen, one form of energy needs to be sacrificed and released so that it can take another form. And you don't have to like sacrifice a goat to do that. You can the powerful sacrifice is when you sacrifice a part of your own ego. And that might be, well, this is my old negative pattern or habit that I'm willing to, this is the block that's keeping me from doing the thing that I want or living in the up leveling that I feel my soul and my life is pushing me into. But whatever's holding me back is what has to be sacrificed. That's what's going to make way. That's what the crucifixion is. It's the ultimate sacrifice, being broken open and letting that energy go and letting it become something greater, rising above oneself, dying to the flesh, the need for the ego's idea of what you should be doing, or well, I want to do this because it gives me status and it gives me comfort, but it doesn't give me any fulfilling purpose. And in fact, I don't even believe in it. I don't believe what I'm doing, and it makes me miserable, and it kind of sucks my soul. You know, that kind of thing. It's like you sacrifice through hard work, through like burning your own energy and time and resources and putting skin in the game. That's a sacrifice. A sacrifice is letting go and surrendering control, because you don't have any control anyway. And a lot of pieces have to fall into place, and there are a lot of people's free will involved. So you have to just surrender to the uncertainty, with certainty that you know that like the source of all that is, there's a divine consciousness at play in this, the creator, God, you know, however you can like fathom that as one unified force and consciousness that is leading you to your ultimate fulfillment, in an avatar, a playing field, like a game, like a video game that's set up so that your energy will be affected by your spiritual and psychological and emotional evolution, and that energy will attract to you what you need to grow and go to the next level. So you're always going to be facing challenges and like, you know, grabbing coins, and, you know, your power source is going to be like, you know, and you're going to be meeting the challenges that are equal to your vibration, your level, whatever, you know, your self-worth and your faith and like your mindset and your vibe have you at that moment. You're going to be reflecting, you're going to be attracting a life that is reflecting that back to you. And so, as we evolve, when it's time for us to level up, our life starts to get, when we start to stagnate, things start to get a little bit chaotic and a little off balance and a little disrupted, because that discomfort creates the conditions that will push us in our evolution to up level. Unfortunately, we just don't grow when we're super comfortable, at least not like we can, but you know, when you look at it like even like as a Darwinian, you know, model of the species, like species do not grow because they are comfortable. They grow because they have to survive. So we're always evolving. Life is always evolving us. And when, you know, we're ready to up level, life starts shaking us. And so I believe that over the last 2 years, we've been shaking and quaking because over, like, I would say mid 2021, a demolition was happening in some area or maybe multiple areas of your life. And it may have been apparent on the outside too. You may have experienced it in some like actual literal way. And then, so then the card, the towers, the crashing towers was actually happening. Like something was crumbling, and that thing was also crumbling your false senses of security. The values that you held that were given to you that aren't really yours. You know, all of those things, those illusions, you were disillusioned, like you saw behind the curtain, like suddenly you were like, oh, what I was told wasn't right. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to reject everything about it. I just need to like figure out like what is right? Like, what do I want? What do I want to call in for my life? What do I value? What's important to me? What's true to me? What's not really my thing? You know, what am I not into anymore? Who's driving the ship? Is it like 6-year-old you? Is it adolescent you? Is it 20-something you? Like, is it a past version of you that's making all your decisions, that you're serving that past version of yourself? Or like, how up to date are you on what you currently really align with? Like, who are you really? And so I felt that like that whole year was like leading me to like out of this like divine fog, this space where I knew for like a year and a half, I was not supposed to know what was going on. I was not supposed to have a clear direction. I was not supposed to have clear answers, because that's where I was building those certainty muscles, where I knew everything. I was being led each step of the way, even though I couldn't see ahead of it. And so at that point, it was like, okay, I felt everything was shaking and like things were like really like coming to a head. And so things crashed in the summer. The towers crashed, everything crumbled, disillusionment. You're like, oh wow, I'm seeing everything with fresh eyes for the first time, a big awakening. And maybe you've had a spiritual awakening before, and maybe this is another cycle of awakening. Maybe this is the first time that you've been awakened, and it is very jolting, and it takes a while to cry it all out, and you feel insane for like, it's a slow process. It's probably the first awakening takes 1 or 2 years. And then you start feeling like a Superman or a Superwoman, and you're like, oh wow, I'm finally myself again. You just wake up one day and you're like, ah. But that's kind of how I feel about 2022. It's that year of the resurrection, where you have been through the death, the towers have crashed, and now it's time to clear the ground. That was what the fall was all about. It was about clearing the ground. And now like the December period, January period is about like laying that foundation to go forward and build on anew. And so we are setting our lives up and making new choices and curating our world to actually fit in that space where we're like, okay, this is really what I want. And then we can build on that. And with all the astrological stuff that I want to touch base on, it's really supporting that too. And so we'll go back step by step and like break down like this past fall and like what's happening now. But we're really being set up to imagine the world, our dream world. Like, people are like, well, you're living in a dream world. And you'll be like, yeah, fuck you. Sorry, you're not. But yeah, so what's your dream world? What do you have to be like, fuck you norms? Like, I can do this. Like, this can be my dream world. So what dream world do you want to live in? What pieces still need to be like tweaked into place for that to happen? And how are you setting yourself up? Because what you really value is like coming to the forefront right now over the next couple of months, and you're going to start getting even more crystal clear about what it is that you want to build. So you don't have to rush out right away and have a plan. It's just going to start revealing itself over the next couple of months, because there's so many big shifts happening celestially that are kind of like finishing the work that's been going on over the last life, but like really culminating recently in the past several months, if not the last year and then the last couple of years. So the cycle is really coming to a head, and we're getting a chance to resurrect. So now we're in that dark period where like we've been sacrificed. Christ was crucified, and then he went to hell and faced the devil for like 2 full days, and rose on the third day. Well, right now, that dark period is when we face our ego and we really examine, you know, what's the true us, what's the highest version of ourselves, and what we no longer buy into, what no longer like really fits us, suits us. You know, it's like that Marie Kondo. It's like, does this bring you joy? Well, throw it out, you know? So that's what we're doing. And 2022 feels light. It feels like there's this like growing sense of levity, a growing sense of stability and clarity within our mind. Like the things that we might have been brooding on a lot, or spinning our wheels about, or wondering or pining on, or like being wistful, or just longing for things. It's like we're not gonna like really spend time wasting on that. We're going to be really a lot more proactive and focused on envisioning what we want, examining, are the things in my life in alignment with like nurturing those core desires, or are they not? And are the people in my life, like, should they be there? Should they not be there? Do the kind of interactions we have with each other need to change? Is there a job that it doesn't suit you anymore, or a career that's just like no longer your thing? And so one second, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, this lightness, that it's like this playful year where you get to just follow that playful spirit and see where it leads you. And you're building, like, I feel like a lot of us have already kind of been setting the stage and laying the groundwork and the foundation for the things that we want to create. And this year is about implementing. It's about taking all that soul growth that we've been like doing this hard metamorphosis through, and actually integrating it where we get to embody it, and on a day-to-day basis just be present and be like, okay, now I'm making decisions from the new me, like, and I have to actually behave different. And so it requires you to stay aware and present and make proactive decisions and not reactive decisions. Reactive decisions are going to keep you in your old patterns and your old loops. Proactive decisions are going to allow you to choose consciously. And this is why in Kabbalah we pause and we say, what a pleasure, and ask, why is this in my movie? And then you practice restriction. You do not react. You act proactively. Because in order to be like God, when you break it down into a pure symbol, like just the purest pieces, was the cause, and the universe was the effect. So light, energy, big bang, cause, universe, effect. So to be like God, we have to be the cause of our life. We can't be the effect. We can't, like, things will happen to us and around us, but we have to choose how we interact with those circumstances, and not react to them based on like our animal instincts, our first temperamental reaction, our first wanting to like get in their face and say something, or maybe the first, you know, initial reaction is, ooh, I don't want to say anything that's too awkward. You have to go against your nature. You have to go against your lower self. in order to practice restriction and pause and then show up proactively. Okay, how would my higher self deal with this? Like if I was living the life of my dreams and I was like perfectly well adjusted and I was like, I could do anything and like my hair like looked right and like my makeup didn't smudge, like what would that Liz be able to accomplish, you know? So this year is giving us a chance with this clean slate to build the things that we've set in motion and that we have already sort of like, okay, I know I've got an idea of what I want. I can really make this a real reality for myself. But you have to make those choices that will make that happen. You have to follow through with the behavior. You have to not do what you always did so that you don't get what you always got. And there will be tests. There will be moments where you could like go back and like do like I don't want to do production work right now. Like I want to focus on this and making content and simplifying the way I make my money. And so logistically production just exhausts me. There's too many like balls in the air all the time, and I wanted to simplify that. So a test would be the fact that like I keep getting calls for all this work, which I want to have that relationship still there. I'm just taking some time away from doing it right now. So it would be like me getting like fearful about that or scarcity minded and being like, well, I don't want to be off anybody's radar. I don't want to be disappointing anyone. So I'm going to take the gig, or, I don't want to be irresponsible and throw my whole, career away, but I'm just like not doing that right now. So it's being like consistent and knowing the why behind that, because I have another job right now that is taking care of all my needs so that I can actually build the life that I want to live, my dream life. And so it's like in those moments where it's hard and you're like, gosh, I don't want to make the right decision. I want to do my comfortable thing. It's like, just remember why you're putting yourself outside of your comfort zone for a while so that you can get to where you want to go. And then you'll find comfort again. Like the thing about, we'll talk about the numerology, but once the universe shakes you up long enough and you rise to the occasion and you prove that you have put your energy and effort and focus and determination and you have stuck it out, then eventually you get your big break and you get to live in that period of harmony and peace and splendor until it starts to stagnate again and you need to get shaken up and up level. So that period of harmony and peace and, gratitude and everything's happening, it's like everything's just like comfortable and stable for a long time. That's the 10. Okay. That's number 10. In the major arcana and like numerology and like whatever, that's the cycle completion at that level. But the 9 is when things culminate in the big climax at the very end of the movie and they get the big break finally. Like the 10 is like that scene afterwards that's like, and happily ever after. Like they go on and they dance in the apartment and the camera pulls out. But the 9 is the moment where they have that big turning point at the end of the third act, the second plot point, where it's like the big confrontation, the final confrontation where the hero gets the boon or whatever. So the numerology of this year, just the year by itself, 2022, is 6. In the major arcana, where is my card? Oh, it's under my foot. I bent it. It's the Lovers card. Okay, so this 6th card, the Lovers card, is the major arcana card. Now, for those of you who don't know about tarot, the major arcana cards are the cards that signify those major archetypal times in our life that everybody in humanity goes through. These are like truths of mythic proportions. I think Joseph Campbell said that a myth is something that it's a story that tells a truth that's so true that it can only be told through metaphor. And so the major arcana talk about archetypal periods in our life during the soul's evolution and during the ascension of the soul and the awakening of consciousness and the rise of consciousness. So the 6 is, it's beyond the halfway point. So it's like the hero's journey. It's past the halfway point, meaning that he's reached the point of his destination that's the furthest that he's got to go away. So now he's on the way back home. And so now it's just the second half of the journey. And so in a sense, like that could be argued not true, but in a sense on the way, if you're considering the whole journey one big journey, and 10 is halfway, 6 is past the halfway point in the one cycle completion. So the 6 is about balance. It's equally divisible by 2. And so the 6 is a representation of a balanced give and take, the balance of feminine energy and masculine energy. The lovers in this card depict the divine masculine and the divine feminine within each of us. And the union with the divine masculine and the feminine within each of us is the divine marriage, or like holy unity with divine. And that means when like the opposite parts of ourselves are integrated. And the masculine energy, I mean, there's just like years worth of material probably on YouTube that you can find with people talking about what is divine masculine energy versus what is divine feminine energy. Well, a very simplified way to say that is masculine force is sharing, it's active, it's doing, it's giving, it's a dick shooting out a wad. It's protective, it's proactive, it's wants to fix things, wants to help. It's aggressive, it's persistent. The feminine energy, masculine energy is logical. It's like go out and hunt that, animal that I can see and feel and touch. Let me impregnate that animal that I can see and feel and touch. But the feminine energy is passive. It's receptive. We are a vagina that is meant to take in and receive. We are intuitive. Sometimes that's illogical. We're comfortable with that, but we receive downloads. We receive energy differently. We are more in touch with the subconscious and the magical realms and the emotional and all of those watery realms. Water is a feminine element. Earth is a feminine element. Fire and air are the masculine. So it's about all of these elements that go together to be a fully integrated person. And when you're unified within your spirit, you're also in union with God, which is like the 3. It's like man, woman, divine, or human, divine. It's even in a gay couple, one person leans a little bit more masculine energy than feminine energy, but even within like every single person has masculine and feminine energy within them. So whether you're gay or straight, it doesn't matter. The lovers, the 2 sides of ourself and the holy, each partner connected with the holy divine. There's something that's important about the 3. The Holy Trinity is expressed. It's like reality and truth is always expressed in like layers, and like it's just again and again. So in the Lover's card, I like it when, for me, you can't beat the Rider-Waite Tarot symbolism and Eileen Conley's take on the interpretations. But in the symbolism, when you study like what each thing is in the picture, you find out that like the masculine is looking at the woman, and the woman is looking up the Archangel Raphael. And in that, it's kind of pointing out that like mankind, but also men, they have a tendency to get caught up in their conscious world and what they can see, feel, and touch. And there's a part of them that yearns and looks to the subconscious, represented by the feminine, who is always connected. That part, he looks to the part of himself that's always in union, always connected with his source, with the divine connection, the divine source of all it is. And so this is him appealing to his subconscious that is always connected to the higher consciousness or the super consciousness. So it's that shadow part of ourself that is always looking to the higher self to guide us. And so the Lover's card is about, I mean, sometimes it's about lovers coming together for a significant long-term partnership, but other than that, it's about choices, like coming to an impasse in life where two paths are going to unite together in one direction, or when you could go one of two directions and you're at an impasse and you have to make a big choice. But it's about those choices that really do shape our lives. So it's important that we make those decisions from the heart, which is, again, involved, like, it's the theme of the whole year. It's building your life based on your true joy and your true love, and fuck them all the rest. Like, doesn't matter what anybody thinks about it. Like, you have got to build your life true to you, or else it won't stay together, because whatever you are not in vibration with, you can't keep. So if it's not an authentic or like vibrational like alignment with you, it's not going to be, even if you think it's the more responsible choice, if you're not in alignment with that choice, it's not going to stay. It's going to go away, because you're not in resonance with it. You're in dissonance, and it will leave. So you need to figure out truly what it is that you love and be honest with yourself. Don't make yourself want something else because you think you're supposed to. Don't make yourself not want something because you think you're not supposed to want it. Like, be honest. No one's looking. No one's judging. You know, what in your heart of hearts makes you happy? What do you have a tendency to yearn, not compulsively need to like soothe like a weakness or a crutch or like an addiction or something to numb out or to cope, but like, what does your soul tug at your heart when you feel it, that heart-wrenching feeling when you see something that you know, like, oh, that's me, I want to go to that place, or I want to have that experience, or, you know, that's just so me, or the lack of it in your life. You feel like, this ache that it's not there. And not because you're not whole without it, or it's not the kind of thing. It's not like Renee Zellweger saying, you complete me, okay? We're not projecting this onto like a specific person or a specific job or a specific item. It's the energy or the essence of that thing that you need to like really figure out what is that? What is that essence? Because it can come in different forms, but the true essence is going to be what's going to be so satisfying. So 2022 reduces to 6, and there are 3 2s in that number. And so the 6 is also talking about, it's like this divine union. It's choices from the heart, integration of our higher self, you know, integration of those shadow pieces that we have denied for so long. Like, maybe it's good that we have that weird quirk. Like, maybe it's the thing that's like meant to like be the thing that like takes a superpower into overdrive, you know, that weird thing that like it actually, you know, whatever it is. We need to integrate these pieces. We need to integrate our growth. We need to integrate all the parts of our soul fragments, bring them all back together and go forward from here. It's about pairings. It's about, because those 3 2s, the emphasis on the 2, it's like, what are you pairing yourself up with? Where do you work? Who do you work with? Who's your boss? What kind of work do you do? What causes do you pair yourself up with? What do you give your attention to? What projects do you pair yourself up with? Who do you try to partner up with to work with those projects? Who do you pair yourself up with in life to hang out with? Who are your friends? How do you have your interactions with your family? If it's dissatisfying, like, are you able to like identify like what you can control on your side to make it better, to make it a better interaction? Because it starts with someone putting down the sword and picking up the olive branch. And so you have to decide, okay, how is this situation, how can I improve it? How am I showing up? and what am I bringing? Am I bringing the shit stank to the room that's causing like the tension or the bad time? You know, am I the wet blanket? Like, get real. You got to get real. You've got to get honest with yourself. You cannot lie to yourself and put your head in the sand and claim plausible deniability anymore. That is why the towers have crashed. That is why things have happened and unfolded the way that they have. So it's time for us to take a cold, hard look. And the people that are willing to do that and embrace it will be rewarded immensely, unimaginably. The people that don't do it will continue to be dissatisfied. They'll be the ones who are depressed and like, why can't I get my life unstuck? Like, oh, everything is chaotic. The like mountains are burning and the cities are crumbling, and they might be, but if you're in the right space within yourself, all that can be happening around you and you'll be all right. Like, you will be. I mean, you know, there have been people that have gone through the last few years that have been fine. It's been difficult, and it's not that they don't have compassion for everything that's happening, but for them, like, they've maintained inner peace, and for others, they have not. And for many, they have tried to maintain inner peace even amidst everything blowing up and crumbling around them. And it's different for everyone. And so we can't really compare ourselves to each other. We just have to stay in our lane and ask, what is life teaching me right now? What in this moment is like giving me a message that will help me up level or see myself more clearly or see why something like triggers me or hurts me, or you know, what is mirrored back at me that makes me feel excited and hopeful, like, ooh, and, you know, inspires you, like, because what we see in others that we admire is also in us, and just the things that we see that in others that bother us is also in us. So yeah, so really, really awesome opportunities to take a lot of value out of your relationships with others, your interactions, pairing things, you know, maybe you integrate different skills that come together to make something else that's really cool. Maybe you're an artist or a creative and you decide to mash up some things that you'd never had an idea to mash up before. You might collaborate with some people and make some really cool stuff. So be on the lookout for what the twos what the twos are telling you. Keep an eye out for what the twos are telling you. But yeah, all of the ways that you can integrate and pair and evolve and make choices based on the things that you truly value. Now, as far as so some of the astrology that's going on is that there's our first new moon is in Capricorn. It's on January 2nd. And the numerology, so if you're like 1-2-2022, 1 and 2 reduced to 3, 2022 reduces to 6. So there's the 3 and the 6. Okay, so the 6, the lovers, the 3 is the divine trinity of like the holy threesome of the divine and the inner higher self and lower self. The divine with the, you know, lover. You know, it's like the 3, divine inspiration, collaborator. Okay. You start to see like the 3, the holy 3, the triangle. 2022 reduces to 6, which is the lover's card, which we already talked about the meanings, and the references of 6. There's a lot more references of 6. It's a Messiah energy, which the Messiah energy is sacrifice that allows all of the other forces to like cross and integrate. But in order to understand that, you kind of have to be familiar with the tree of life. So 3 and 6 equal 9. The culmination, the big break, the end of the second plot point at the end of the third act. Like, we are so close to that number 10 moment of the happily ever after and the period of like harmony and prosperity and abundance, but we just have to get there, and so we're in this moment of the crux where we take all the strength that we've accumulated on our journey to face this like test, this big gauntlet, you know, our big nemesis or whatever it is. And we use all the skills that we have to like take this on, take the boon, and now go back to the village and live our life in the village up leveled with our big hero mansion and our big, you know, hero, like, hey, this is my hero badge. Like, you know, I'm living in a higher life now, but we take it back to the village with the treasure because we share and our cup overflows and it makes everyone's life better in the village. The whole village evolves because we evolved on our journey. So yes, so the new moon in Capricorn is at a 9. Well, Capricorn is all about, it's the most mature of all of the earth signs. Like as the wheel of the year goes around, each zodiac sign is in its own element. And the first one in the element is like the baby. The second one is like the adolescent, and the third one is like the most grown, and it holds the most wisdom of the sign, the most maturity of the sign. So Capricorn is mature earth sign. It is like, I know what I want. I know how to get it. Let's implement. Like, all right, where are the markers and the note cards and everything? Like, you know, systems and processes in place. Like we got it, like take action. Foot to earth. So we have a very stable footing to manifest from, to manifest the literal life that we need to build around ourselves to provide us with our basic needs so that we can do that higher purpose or live that dream or do that goal or whatever it is, however we want to live our life and like make that happen. Capricorn is the energy that's the most ideal to set up a physical life things, the pentacles realm of like how you're going to make that happen. And so it's a great place to build a foundation on. It's also, it also does like gives you value and long lasting, things, like things that last a while. Think of like stone, concrete, things that endure, things that are durable. Let's see, what next? Oh, yes. So just to recap what was going on in the fall, there were a lot of things in the fall. Like every planet was like in retrograde. Major things were being asked to be let go of. Big, huge things. Like anything that's blocking you from being authentic has to be shed away. Anything that is keeping you locked in with that thing that is not authentic to you, all the illusions about it are going to come forward. You're going to see it in full sobriety and be like, oh, okay, I gotta go. You know, like you're going to see things for what they are, and it's just not going to be the same after that. You can't unsee it. So through the fall, hopefully you were allowing those towers to crash, making arrangements to walk away from that wrong job or that wrong career. Maybe you went through a breakup. I know I did. It was not something I wanted, wasn't something I planned on. It was a culmination that was happening for a long time. But in the end, I knew, I had full certainty that it was 100% what was right. It was still heartbreaking, but we did a conscious uncoupling. We took it slow. We peeled apart gently. We finished out a few weeks of our lease together, and we had a good period of time where we were able to have conversations and just be honest about our feelings and be sad together and mourn and let go. And that's not always right. That's not always good. That's not always appropriate. That's not always possible. It's not always an option. But in this particular situation, it all worked out so that it was, and I'm really grateful because we're still friends, and like there's not any hard feelings, and there's no like, you know, oh, is it gonna work out? It's like, no, we completed, we graduated, we are better people for it, and it's now transmuted into friendship. So no hard feelings, and but it's cleared the decks because now, okay, I'm an adult. I've been in a spiritual practice for a while, so I feel like, oh wow, I get to like choose again based on like knowing all that I know now, and that's pretty good. It also kind of makes it harder because you're like, oh no, I can't not see that. I can't settle for that kind of behavior like I used to be able to turn a blind eye. So it kind of like narrows the options down because you're like, no. Yeah, but that's good because I don't really like. I'm also at a point in my life where I don't feel an urgency to need or want a relationship necessarily. I'm like really just being really excited to recalibrate and live by myself for the first time without a roommate or without a partner or family or anything, and just be in my own energy, in my own space, creating the life that I want to create because I like the things that are around me, or I wanted because that's something I like to do. Like it's like no one else is influencing me right now, and it is so weird. It took a minute to just adjust because I that was when I had that realization. It's like, well, who's steering the ship, Liz? Is it 7-year-old Liz? Is it 12, 13-year-old Liz? Is it 20, 30-year-old Liz? Like, we'll stop there. So, because we could just keep going. I'm like 700 years old. But yeah, it's like, oh, okay, I am going to recalibrate. I have been through so much in such a period of time and come so far so fast. And I know a lot of us have because I've been, I've had my ear to the ground and people have been talking about it. And it's like, whoa, just catch your breath. Who are you now? Who am I? Like, what do I, like, do I still want to do that? Do I still want to do this? Like, do I still like that? Do I still like this? And it's like, oh, okay, so like, let's let everything neutralize and let the dust settle and like, see what turned you on. Like, what are you craving? What are you curious about? What's fun? What do you want to go do? What makes you feel playful? Like, when you're bored, what do you get up to? And for me, it's always creating content and art and making a video or telling a story, or there's a lot of comedy in my life. I don't know. I think it'd be so funny if I ended up being a comedian, and it's like people are always telling me I should be, but I'm like, no, you have to like really work on that. And like, it's like a fine art and a discipline, and it really is. But like, what if that's the reason why nothing works out is that like, I'm just like, oh, I was just supposed to go to an open mic night. And then like, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I see how easy life could be. Yeah, that would be really ironic. The only thing I haven't tried. But so the fall was about, so the demolition was happening like halfway point through the year, right? Towers crashed, things were taken away. The dust settled. Hopefully you were moving things out of your life. So for instance, mine was like cleared a relationship out, that created a lot of space for something new. And a new job, which created the physical time and money and flexibility and fluidity that would allow me to like actually pursue making content and doing things related to the Light Love Magick brand, doing all of my spiritual work and the tarot and the work I do with the tarot and energy and meeting people and doing like, one-on-one readings with people. And there's so many things that I want to develop and create around that take a lot of time and consistency to show up for. And so I was like, all right, do I really want to do that? Like, let's do it. Like, let's fuck everything up and like not like take that job out of the way and get one that will allow me time to do that and like really set my life up to see if I can like get my shit together and do it. So we're starting off with a big brain dump. We're already at 58 minutes, but fuck it. Like, we'll just go for it. Okay, so the fall. Oh, yeah. So coming up to Christmas was perfect because we had that whole Mercury retrograde during October that like forced us to reflect, and it was during Libra. So it forced us to reflect on our partnerships and our relationships and the balance of give and take in our life. And I'm sure you had some blasts from the past show up for you in October. Well, remember that because it's going to be kind of significant in this current season that we're in. So we reflected on partnerships. We're getting rid of things in our life that are no longer, authentic to us. We're seeing through illusions, leading us up to like that whole like time of the year where we reflect and we plan. Well, and like the whole big new cycle is starting anyway, getting us like, pumped. So we're re-envisioning during December and drawing up new blueprints and laying foundations and the groundwork. The foundations and the groundwork are going to be like, they might already be a little bit in place, but we're really going to solidify those in January with that Capricorn new moon energy. And then also some of the things that are happening right now are Venus is in retrograde, and it went retrograde December 19th. And it will be in retrograde until January 29th. And Venus in retrograde asks us to revisit what we value in the things that Venus rules, which is our home, it's beauty, it's our relationships, it's romance, it's l'amour, it's all things arts and beauty and love and bohemian values. It's, Venus is how I choose to like adorn my temple, how I choose to adorn my temple. What do I expect from relationships? What do I value in my lifestyle, in my household? How do I want my kingdom to look and to run? What kind of art is interesting to me? What gets my creative juices flowing? Just look up all kinds of things that relate to Venus, but particularly what is important right now about the Venus retrograde is evaluating what you value and what you want from like real long-term relationships and love partnerships, friends, family, lovers, business partners, anything that you partner up with people with the collaboration. That's like one of the greater themes of the year. It's like really highlighted right now during this retrograde time to get crystal clear about those values, because then they will inform the choices that you make for the rest of the year. The North Node is moving into Taurus January 19th. Now, the North Node is the purpose that you follow in this life. This is like your soul's purpose, like the direction you're headed in. Whereas the South Node, which is going to be 6 months opposite of that on the wheel, is going to be your South Node, which is the lessons that you've already brought with you from your past life. So it's like that's your comfort zone. That's what you're like already good at. And it will help your North Node purpose or trigger you towards it, or it'll be some kind of catalyst. But so whatever your North Node is specific to you, and it'll be in your natal chart. But in general, the moon's North Node is moving out of Gemini and it's headed into Taurus, which means that we will be reevaluating what we truly value. And again, it's those Venus themes, but it's more related to the like household and, well, I don't know. I guess it's still related to all that Venus retrograde. It's love, it's partnership, it's long-term foundations, it's home, it's house, it's family, it's traditions, it's what, like your family, it's how you want to build your life, your community, your village, how you want to adorn it, how you want to like beautify it, how you build your world, the physical world that you live in and experience, and how you beautify it and how you sensually interact with it, what you value within that. And relationships, what you value, how you want to, like money and career are big Venus themes. It's like, how do you make money? What is your relationship with money? How does money relate to your career? Do you have purpose? Like, is your career and your purpose the same? It may not be. Like, maybe you have a career and then you have a purpose and then there's another whole way you bring in cash. Like, So it's asking you to like take a look at all that stuff, and like it's supporting you to make changes if you want to. And if not, double down on what you're doing, like expand on what you got, like whatever, shake what your mama gave you. But if you want to make changes right now, is a great time to do that. It's very, very much supported, and it's going to happen whether or not you fight it or not. So you might as well just feel the tides and go with the tides. Again, it's part of getting honest with yourself. It's like, don't try to put yourself into something that's not true for you. Okay, and then finally, Mercury is going retrograde January 14th through February 3rd in Aquarius. And Aquarius is that whole revolutionary, radical, like, let's change everything, let's turn the world on its axis, you know, let's turn the world upside down, let's challenge the status quo. So it's about that big zeitgeist part of your consciousness. So you're re-looking at a lot of your big ideas, your big picture about the way you think that life should be and go. It's like you're being challenged to question it, and maybe you have like different ideas about that now. And it's that radical, you know, energy that's going to help you make all of these big shifts to move into this next new year to come. So I think I'm just going to wrap it up because we're past an hour, and that is about as long as I can usually sit through any class. So I think what I also would like to do is that since I'm trying to do daily videos, they're not all going to be an hour, but this one I just had a lot to say and a lot to blab on about. I would like to do a tarot card reading about my yearly predictions. It's going to be another long one though, because it's going to be like for each month, but I think I might do that sometime this week. But yeah, maybe tomorrow will be a shorter video, but I'm hoping that I will be making one video per day for a year. I'm going to try. Bye.